That's a clown question, bro.
Hi, what's up on you?
So I'm gonna kick some dirt.
He gets on base.
Just a bit outside.
I'm not the type of player that's going to be Johnny Hustle.
If you don't want me to watch the ball, you can go get it out of the ocean.
And welcome back to Above Replacement Radio, part 2 of episode 90. Actually, first we'll start off with a little announcement where for history, we're going to be doing only a player or a team, only one subject matter per week. Usually we do player and team every week, but we get busier here. We're college students. So we're going to be doing one subject matter per week. So it'll still be 2 episodes a week, but it won't be two-parters. And we will be extending the series through pretty much the entire end of the off season. So it'll all be spread out, and it'll be right before that season is planning to start.
Yeah, I mean, for as of right now, the way the schedule looks for us, the last history episode will be put out on April 1st, opening day.
Yeah.
So it ends perfectly. And it's almost a year to the day of when we recorded the George Brett 2012 Tigers episode.
Yes, it'll be coming pretty full circle. And yeah, the world is still going to be looking pretty similar to what it was about a year ago when we started this history series. But anyway,
we'll have different visions though. Like back last April, we were like, "Oh my God, this could go like until June."
yeah.
And now we're like, well, we might be back to normal by the time like this time next year comes.
Yeah, we might be back to normal by June 2021 or 2022.
Yeah. No. And then last year we were like, oh my God, there's like 93 new cases just in our state today.
Yeah.
That's what we were like last year.
Yeah. And like if someone you knew got it, it was like the biggest news of your month.
Yeah, no. Now it's like, oh, another person I know got it. Okay. Well, I didn't see them too recently. I think I'm fine.
Yeah, we're living with it now, but this is our fourth to last team?
Yeah.
Yeah, fourth to last team.
I don't know how math works.
We're talking about the 2007 Colorado Rockies today. Not a complete comeback story, but they were a team that came out of nowhere in the month of September and absolutely stole a wild card spot and had to fight it out even more in game 163. But we will get to that. Let's start out with the context of the 2007 Rockies season.
So in 2006, the Rockies kind of had a par for the course year for what had been the norm for their franchise in the first 2.5, I guess, decades of their existence. They went 76 and 86 and 06. That was 4th in the NL West. Actually, it was a decade and a half. They had never been to a postseason series. No, they had never won a postseason series going into 2007, and they only had one appearance. That was against the infamous 1995 Atlanta Braves, where they won 1 game. So in the offseason, the Rockies signed Kazuo Matsui as a free agent. They also signed LaTroy Hawkins, a reliever, as a free agent. They also made a trade. They traded Jason Jennings for the Astros for a package that included 2005 Rookie of the Year finalist Willie Taveras. And they signed Steve Finley, who was in his 40s at that point, as a free agent. And they didn't really go into the season with much expectations. The hardball times had them finishing last in the National League West. So there wasn't really much expectations, but they still seemed like a fun team to root for. In spring training, the Rockies put together a series of small videos that we will showcase throughout this show. And it showed parts of the clubhouse personality in Colorado.
No. Don't put them all in your mouth. Start small. You guys aren't ready for multiple sweets yet. Good job, Troy. Baby steps. Definitely baby steps.
Am I supposed to chew it or spit it?
Supposed to chew it. and then spit it out.
So, nice little video there about sunflower seeds. And by the way, this is going to be a very visual-based show. So if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I would very much recommend heading over to YouTube for this one because there's going to be a lot of explanation. There's going to be a lot of sort of like small skits like that. And it's not going to make much sense if you're only listening through audio. So with that being said, the Rockies had quite the challenging start to the 2007 season. After they dropped the first game, the Rockies were trailing in the 11th inning against the Diamondbacks. And after a rookie by the name of Troy Tulowitzki hit a game-tying double, their catcher, Chris Iannetta, came up with 2 outs trying to win it. And I'm gonna have to be the play-by-play guy here. So go ahead. We hit the line drive into right field. The right fielder of the Diamondbacks goes back, and it hits off of his glove on the dive attempt. The Rockies scored the game-winning run. That's a walk-off for the first win this season, and the Rockies came back. I love it. So that's a big win there for the Rockies. They get their first of the season. And through 2 weeks, the Rockies were 5-8, immediately 4 games down in the division. And uncharacteristically, the offense was struggling through these 2 weeks with their 71 weighted runs created plus and their .1 FWAR being in the bottom third of the league. That's not good. Now on April 29th, at the end of the month, the Rockies were in a dogfight with the Atlanta Braves. In the 7th inning, the Rockies were in a jam, and reliever Zach McKellen was trying to get out of it.
And he rips it to short. This could be a triple play. It will be. Unassisted. Troy Tulowitzki on a line shot with the runners moving. A triple play.
Chris, we have gone over many different things during this history series. This is our 26th team, I believe.
Yes.
Never before and never again will we see an unassisted triple play, the rarest play in the history of baseball on one of these teams.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, all the, you know, the cheesy thing that commentators always say is like, you know, I think I've seen everything now. And, you know, things like that can be said when we've done, you know, 26 players, 26 teams, and this is the first time seeing such a play.
And even that is like extremely lucky. There's only been like, 15 or 16 of these in the history of the game, 150 years.
Yeah, there's been more perfect games, more four home run games.
More immaculate innings.
Yeah, more than unassisted triple plays.
The rarest play in the game. Like, it has to be very, very luck-based and situational. Like, it's got to happen with 2 on, none out, guys on first and second, both double steal, hit and run, line drive to a middle infielder who happens to be moving to, if it's a second baseman, to his right, the shortstop to his left.
Yeah,
like,
and it can't be.
Everything has to go right.
Can't be a pop fly because that's just an infield fly. Yeah, exactly.
Has to be a line drive right at someone.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't exactly happen.
Yeah, there's a lot that is required.
Yeah. And later in that same game, after Colorado scored 2 runs in the 9th to tie it, it went into extra innings, and Matt Holliday came up in the 11th looking to play the hero.
2-2 on Matt Holliday. And Matt drives one center field and deep. Get up, get out, Rockies win it. Matt Holliday, a 2-run walk-off. It's all good now. Rockies win it 9-7 in 11.
So Matt Holliday wins it right there on a walk-off home run. Very impressive stuff right there from him. And as for the Rockies as a whole, they finished the month of April with an 11 and hold on a second. Cut this out. They finished the month of April with a 10-16 record. Obviously not very good, and they were in 4th place in the NL West.
And now we get into the stage of the Rockies season where they're kind of back and forth. The Rockies spent the majority of May being mediocre. They had an 8-12 record with a 5.63 team earned run average, and that was worst in the majors. Their 5.63 strikeouts per 9 over that time was also worst in the National League. And the big problem with the pitching was the Rockies bullpen. A 7.65 ERA was the worst in the National League. And their 5.46 walks per nine were also the worst in the National League from that bullpen. And their 377 BABIP against was the worst in Major League Baseball. And after this, the Rockies turned it around and went on a 7-game win streak. Surprise, surprise. The pitching was leading the way during the streak. A 1.97 ERA led the majors through this win streak. And from the individualist perspective, Jeff Francis had 2 starts. He went 2-0 with a 1.23 ERA. And closer Brian Fuentes had 4 saves. And we're going to get into Brian Fuentes with a video right here.
What about Fuentes' performance in the ninth?
Fuentes? That kid saves everything, doesn't he?
There, kitty, kitty. Here you go, girls.
Thank you, Mr. Fuentes.
What's the matter, boy? No splashing.
I like that. I like seeing that. That's some quality
content.
Quality content right there. And however, the Rockies still had an uphill battle ahead of them. At the end of May, they were 25-29, and worst of all, last place in the National League West.
So now they are still trying to get over the hump, heading into the summer. And on June 3rd, the Rockies were in extras against the Cincinnati Reds, and Garrett Atkins came up with the winning run in scoring position. And I'm going to have to provide some of my own commentary on this. Go ahead. The line drive to left field. And as on that field, he had a great run contact and scored the winning run. The Rockies go on to walk off in that game on a single by Garrett Atkins.
I should have just had it muted the whole time, but yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
So days later, the Rockies were in a similar situation against the Houston Astros, and this time it was Troy Tulowitzki's turn to play the walk-off man. So he swings, hits a ground ball between the shortstop and the third baseman in the hole, and the Rockies score the winning run from third. They go on to win that game. Troy Tulowitzki plays the hero. All right, thank God. That's the last video where I have to do that, luckily. So from June 9th until the 21st, the Rockies went stellar. They had a 9-2 record with great offense and great pitching. And the Rockies team ERA was a full run better than the next best team. Theirs was a 2.45. The next best was a 3.56, so well above the next best team. And we're going to look into that Rockies pitching staff just a little bit.
Starting pitchers pitch every 5th day. That leaves us a little time to work out, study up on hitters, and help out around the clubhouse. We're just happy to help out where we can.
Thanks, Jim.
So some more quality stuff there from the Rockies, this time from the rotation, not only on the field, but off.
Yes.
So the rotation ERA had a 3.12 ERA during this time, and the bullpen had an 0.91 earned run average. As you can imagine, that led the league. Matt Holliday was their best hitter over this time as well. He slashed 429, 520, 738, 1258 for a 527 WOBA with a 215 weighted runs created plus. Also, Garrett Atkins, Todd Helton, and Brad Hopp all had a weighted runs created plus above 115. And after this run, The Rockies were 38-34, just 4 games over 500, 3.5 games behind the division leaders. But unfortunately, they began to redig that hole that they had already created. The Rockies followed this up by going on the most brutal 8-game losing streak you can imagine. 4 of the 8 games that they lost on this win streak were on walk-offs, and in all 4 of those walk-offs, they were up to begin the last half inning. So that bullpen that had been so great for them with an 0.91 ERA, they completely ditched all that and blew 4 games in a not in a row, but out of 8 and all on the road. So that's bad. And before the All-Star break, the Rockies won 6 of their last 8 heading into the All-Star break, finishing exactly 500 at 44-44. They were 5.5 games back in the NL West.
And now it's the All-Star break, and Brian Fuentes and Matt Holliday represented Colorado in that All-Star game. Matt Holliday at the break was absolutely killing it, had a 341 average, 392 on base percentage, 573 slugging for a 965 OPS. He also had 15 home runs, 56 RBI, a 412 WOBA, 140 weighted runs created plus, and 3.2 FWAR up to this point. And Brian Fuentes had 20 saves, which was 5th most in the National League. And Matt Holliday competed in the home run derby and went for big bombs in San Francisco.
Seen anybody that went over the foul pole, not that way.
Man, Holliday with 4, and it looks like 5 going away, back,
That's
and
way.
Gone!
He's getting close to that Coke bottle. During the season, is $1 million to hit the Coke bottle or something? I've never seen anybody.
So Matt Holliday, absolutely, he shows that he doesn't need that Coors effect to hit the ball far. And he ended up going 2 rounds and hitting 13 home runs total in that home run derby. A pretty good showing, relatively speaking.
Yeah. So now we go into the second half, and on July 25th, starting pitcher Aaron Cook looked to begin re-steering the ship.
6 and 6, 4.37 the earned run average for Aaron. And the 0-2 to Giles. Swing and a miss. He got him. 206, and he'll swing and bounce it towards the hole off the glove of Khalil Green, the shortstop, and into left field. And Aaron Cook gets his 8th hit of the season.
Cook's 2-2 again to Green. Swung on and missed. Got him down and away with a good slider. Cruz, a switch hitter in from the left side, hits it right at the shortstop. Carroll flips to second. Matsui to first. Double play.
Allowed 3. Cook singles to right field through the hole on the right side. Going to second is Hop. He'll hold there. Aaron Cook with a 2-for-3 afternoon. Little inside-out swing.
Cook grounds one back up the middle. That's a base hit to center field. He's got a 3-hit day in addition to working on his 7th win of the year. Pitch, fly ball to shallow right. Hop coming in on the ball, racing up. He's going to get there. He's got it. That's the ball game. This one is a Rockies winner at Coors Field.
So Aaron Cook with a remarkable 3-hit game and a complete game. He got more hits than the other team scored runs.
Yeah, exactly.
That is just a fact. And the Rockies, they weren't very active at the trade deadline, and they went into August 54-51, 3.5 games back. But the Rockies sort of treaded water through the entire month of August. They went 15-14 during the month, and as the days kept passing, their playoff hopes would get slimmer and slimmer. And they didn't help their case to begin September either. They went 7 for 7 in their first 14 games of the month, putting them at 76-72, 4th place in a loaded NL West, 6.5 games out of the division and 4.5 games out of the lone wildcard spot in the National League. They also had the 7th best record in the National League. Not very good.
So now it is time for the Rockies to go on, throw a Hail Mary, get it going, and possibly, steal a spot. And the Rockies had a big homestand against Los Angeles coming up, and they needed to be ready for the high altitude that was in store at the stadium in Denver, Colorado.
Gentlemen, you're at 5,280 feet. You are breathing 20% less oxygen than anyone else in the game of baseball. Suck it up. Quickly, quickly. High altitude. Water is your friend. Drink. I don't know what you have learned. Don't wear sunscreen. You'll get burned. High altitude baking, men. More flour. Unbelievable.
So some training in store, high altitude training. You gotta be ready when you're up there in the mountains. So on September 16th, the Rockies won the last game of their home series against the Florida Marlins to salvage just a game in that series. And this led to a 4-game set against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And after winning the first part of a day-night doubleheader, the Rockies were down 8-7 against the Dodgers closer, Takashi Saito, who they were 0-20 against this year. 0-4-20 against this year. Down to their last out, Matt Holliday broke the streak on a single to right. After that, Todd Helton looked to play the hero.
1-2. Holliday at first. Todd drives one high and deep right field. Get up and get out. Helton has done it. The Rockies win it. Todd Helton, a walk-off 2-run shot. Colorado has swept the Dodgers.
8th time on a walk-off win for the Rockies this year. Nobody's enjoying it more than that guy.
How about that? How about that?
So a big clutch hit by one of the greatest, or probably the best Rocky of all time, especially for a guy who played his entire career there. And in the clubhouse, this was the turning point where if anyone wasn't on board, they definitely were now.
That's the one.
Todd had to do an interview after the game, so everyone was waiting for him.
Out of respect for Todd, they did nothing until he got up to the clubhouse. He did his interviews and everything, and everybody was happy, but they waited for him to get in there.
When he came into the locker room, everybody stood up and gave him a standing ovation.
Everyone just started clapping, and everyone was giving him a high five.
I think that kind of exemplifies the way we felt about him. I think that's how happy we were for him.
It's pretty unusual in my 4 years. I've never seen, a team, applauding a performance like that.
It was an emotional time. There's no doubt about that. But it's one of those things where, you kind of feel a little embarrassed about it, and I'm just kind of like, whatever. Let's just go on about our business or whatever. But it was great. I remember going home that night, and I was watching every news station, just trying to live it again, because walk-off home runs don't happen very much, and when they mean as much as that one did, gosh, it makes it so much fun.
To see him like that, to know that that a leader like that for us was that excited. It got us going.
So obviously the Rockies got around their leader, and they were pretty much 100% dialed in at, taking those low odds and running with them. And the Rockies ended up sweeping the Dodgers, not only in that doubleheader, but in the 4-game series. And Colorado then hit the road to San Diego. The San Diego were the leaders in the wild card race, and the Rockies were 4.5 games back of them. In game 1, deep into the 14th inning of a 1-1 game, Brad Hawpe came up looking to untie this game.
High fly ball to deep center field. Did Hawpe get enough of it? He did. Brad Hawpe Left on left.
As soon as I hit, I know that's got to be gone. If that's not gone, then I'm never going to hit a home run here in San Diego the other way.
I mean, that ball not only went out, it went out. I mean, it was way out. You're kind of just sitting there looking at it. Did that just happen right there?
That's what I was up there.
So Brad Hopp gets it done in extra innings to put them ahead 2-1, and the Rockies won that game by that score. But it came at a cost. Matt Holliday was ruled out for the rest of the series with an injury, and it didn't matter as the Rockies won the rest of the games in that series 6-2 and 7-3 to sweep the Padres. And all of a sudden, things were looking very interesting for the Rockies.
So now the Rockies, coming out of San Diego, went just an hour north to LA, and they swept the Dodgers in 3. And after this, there were 3 games left to play. The Rockies were 1 game away from the Padres and just 2 away from the division-leading Arizona Diamondbacks, who they just so happened to be playing during the last weekend of the season. And while riding an 11-game win streak, a sweep could get them to the division. In Game 1, those hopes and dreams came to a halt.
0-2 on Kaz.
Well, let's hope he has to fly to go get one from Kaz.
Not going to happen. The Arizona Diamondbacks end the Rockies' 11-game winning streak and severely damage Colorado's postseason aspirations. Behind Brandon Webb for 7 innings, the Diamondbacks win it 4-2.
So the Rockies lose to the Diamondbacks. This puts Arizona in a playoff spot. They still didn't clinch the division, but they were going to the playoffs. And even worse, for the Rockies, the Padres won. So the only possible playoff scenario for Colorado is that they needed to win their last 2 games of the season with the Padres losing the last 2. If they won both, but the Padres won 1, it didn't matter. It had to be that. And even in that scenario, they would go to a tie-breaking Game 163 on the season. On Saturday, the Milwaukee Brewers were down to their last out against the Padres. A San Diego win would ultimately eliminate Colorado. And Tony Gwynn Jr. was the Milwaukee batter facing Trevor Hoffman. Trevor Hoffman used to babysit Tony Gwynn Jr. when, his dad played with Trevor Hoffman back in the 80s and 90s. And wouldn't you know it, he hits a game-tying triple. And eventually the Brewers would win it in the 11th on a Vinny Rottino walk-off single. The Rockies did their part, and it came to 162. The Padres got up to an early 3-0 lead in Game 162, but then proceeded to give up 11 unanswered runs to the Brewers. And the Rockies won. So, with Tony Gwynn Jr. coming through for Colorado, it came down to a tie-breaking Game 163 of the division. I've heard a lot of, coincidental stories in baseball, Chris, but that might be the greatest one. Like a kid who used to babysit, messes with your playoff chances years later.
Yeah. Like, what are the odds of that happening ever?
Like, there's father-son combos, there's sibling combos. No, babysitter versus baby.
Yeah, and the fact that, it comes up in a
situation like that.
In a desperate situation. Not, it's not like some June 18th game that doesn't have a lot of meaning. It's, we're trying to get a playoff spot here.
And one of the teams had nothing to play for.
Yeah, right.
Like the Brewers had already been eliminated by that point. They had nothing to play for, but they still came out and played spoiler and caused for this Game 163. And it was a big game in Colorado, and the Rockies, being at home, needed every advantage they could get.
Smoking fastball.
Sweet changeup.
Smooth slider. Oh, yeah. Hanging curveball. Cuban?
So the Rockies using the humidor and the Rocky Mountain Air to the advantage before this game. And in the game, The Rockies grabbed an early 2-0 lead on RBIs from Todd Helton and Garrett Atkins. And in the third, catcher Yorvit Torrealba looked to tack on.
But don't make a mistake to him. Down the line in left field. Back and gone. There's the mistake you may mention. Torrealba's 8th home run of the year puts the Rockies on top 3-0.
So Yorvit Torrealba makes it a 3-0 Rockies lead. And the Rockies, they were lighting up Jake Peavy early in that one. However, Josh Fogg began struggling in the third. After loading the bases, Adrian Gonzalez came up for San Diego.
Gonzalez to deep right field. Back goes Hop. At the wall, it's gone. Grand slam for Adrian Gonzalez. His 30th home run of the year, and erases a 3-run deficit with a grand slam.
My goodness, what a turnaround that is. He was just 3 for 12 with the bases loaded this year.
So the Rockies, all of a sudden, after the grand slam, are now down. That took the mood down pretty quickly. And San Diego would get another run in the third on an RBI from Brady Clark. So now the Rockies needed to get those runs back, and Todd Helton was up for the challenge.
And a sacrifice fly in the first inning to pick up his 90th RBI. Now hits a towering fly ball to right. Giles back, and that is gone. Todd Helton's gone deep for the 17th time this season, and it's a 1-run game. It's 5-4 Padres.
This guy wants to get to the postseason more than any other Rocky. As long as he's played, he's never been in a postseason ball game, and he's trying his best already with 2 RBIs to put the Rockies there.
So Todd Helton doing the thing, trying to get his team to the promised land for the first time. And for a few innings at this point, the score stayed pretty stagnant. And then Troy Tulowitzki led off the bottom of the 5th with a double, putting Matt Holliday in a big position to drive him in.
Line into center field, a base hit. Tulowitzki being waved around. The throw from Clark is cut off, and the game is tied.
But check out the swing, Don.
So Matt Holliday ties it up, and the Rockies would later take the lead on a Kaz Matsui sac fly, but they would lose it on a Brian Giles double. So this game was tied in the 9th, and it went to extra innings. After Manny Corpus and Matt Herges shut it down for Colorado, it went into the 13th, where Jorge Julio looked to recover for Colorado after giving up a leadoff walk.
Distract the pitcher enough.
Hairston swinging away, sends it out towards deep left field. Back goes Matt Holliday. That ball is up, and that ball is gone. A 2-run home run for Scott Hairston has propelled the San Diego Padres to an 8-6 lead here in the 13th inning. Jorge Julio wild, and Hairston takes him out of the yard to give the Padres the lead.
And right after.
So San Diego hits a home run, 2-run home run at that, and the Rockies are now 3 outs away from elimination. But Kaz Matsui led off the bottom of the 13th with a double off of Trevor Hoffman, and all of a sudden there was hope. And afterwards, Troy Tulowitzki had possibly the last plate appearance of his Rookie of the Year campaign.
Tulowitzki towards the gap in left center field. That's going to get down. Matsui scores easily. Tulowitzki to second, and he is just in safely.
So Troy Tulowitzki hits the second straight double of the inning to start it, and all of a sudden it's just a 1-run game. The tying run is now in scoring position, and it was Matt Holliday looking to wrap up his MVP campaign of the season.
Came in hitting at 340. It has been a 1-for-5 night. To right field. Giles headed back. Giles at the track. He jumps and is unable to make the catch. Around from second base comes Tulowitzki. He will tie the score at 8 as to third goes Holiday with a triple that has tied the game at 8 in the 13th.
And Matt Holliday ties the game in the 13th with no outs. The Rockies wasted no time getting those runs on the board. And all of a sudden, the game was tied, there were no outs, and the winning run was 90 feet away. After Todd Helton was understandably intentionally walked, Jamie Carroll came up for the Rockies looking to end the game.
Jamie Carroll, the batter. To right field. Giles is there to make the catch. Tagging is Holiday. The throw to the plate. He is safe. The Colorado Rockies are the National League Wild Card winners.
So the Rockies win the National League wild card. They're going to the playoffs for the first time in 12 years on one of the most dramatic games ever played.
Yeah, it is very much so.
I mean, when you talk about game 163s in the history of baseball, that's the one.
Yeah, and this was pre, wild card game, so this was like a great intro to what the playoffs were going to be.
Yeah. I mean, game 163, it's obviously a very rare occurrence, but anytime there is one, like in 2018, there was 2, immediately you bring this game to light. It's like, hey, remember this game? Remember the Rockies versus the Padres?
Yeah, this one and Tigers Twins back in 09, I think.
Yeah. Incredible game from the Rockies, and they're going to the postseason, and we're going to take a look at the Rocky Mountain Rockstars on this team. We're going to start with Matt Holliday, of course, who hit 340, 405, 607, 1012 with a 151 OPS plus, 36 home runs, 137 RBI, and he led the NL in doubles with 50, average total bases with 386. And this is the most recent season in baseball history with 50 doubles, a 340 average, and 10 stolen bases. That is a how about that if I've ever heard one.
Oh boy. I
sneak attack you with those usually.
Yeah, well, I usually have the thing open, but I check Twitter to see the news.
Yeah.
Nothing.
You're just waiting on Trevor Bauer.
Yeah. Say that one again.
Matt Holliday has the most recent season in baseball history with 50 doubles, a 340 average, and 10 stolen bases. And this gave him second in the MVP vote. He lost to Jimmy Rollins, but he'd be facing him in the playoffs, so he'd have a chance to avenge that. Troy Tulowitzki slashed 291, 359, 479, 838 in his rookie season with a 109 OPS plus, 24 home runs, 99 RBIs. This got him second in the Rookie of the Year vote and 18th in the MVP vote. Also, Brad Hopp slashed 291, same as Tulowitzki, 387, 539, 926 for a 130 OPS plus, 29 home runs, 116 RBIs, and this got him 24th in the MVP vote. Also on the mound, Jeff Francis, on a team that struggles with pitching historically in that ballpark, did pretty well for himself. 17-9 record, a 4.22 ERA, 1.14 ERA plus, 2.6 walks per 9, and 9th in the Cy Young vote. Also, Clint Hurdle, the manager, he finished 3rd in the Manager of the Year voting. Todd Helton as well. 320, 434, 494 for a 928 OPS, 133 OPS plus, 17 RBI, 91 runs batted, or 17 home runs, 91 RBI, and 116 walks. The 2007 Rockies are the most recent team to have 2 players, that being Holliday and Helton, with a 400 plus OBP and 40 plus doubles. Also coming out of the bullpen, Brian Fuentes, Manny Corpus, Jeremy Affeld, and LaTroy Hawkins all had an ERA plus above 130 in at least 55 innings pitched. And the Rockies are now in the National League Division Series against the Philadelphia Phillies. And in Game 1, the Rockies got off to a quick start with a 3-run second on an Atkins double, a Torrealba single, and a Tulo walk. Later in the game, Aaron Rowan and Pat Burrell hit back-to-back home runs to make it 3-2. However, the Rockies got one back in the 8th on a Matt Holliday home run, and the Rockies won Game 1 4-2. Now in Game 2, Colorado up 1-0, and Colorado got another quick start on back-to-back home runs from Tulo and Holliday. However, the Phillies later took the lead on 3 RBIs from eventual MVP winner Jimmy Rollins. And then it was time for Kazuo Matsui to take over.
Matsui hits it in the air towards center field. Going back is Rowan. It's over his head. It'll bounce off that side wall out by the 409 sign, and Matsui will have a double. Well, Rowan learned his lesson from yesterday. That was in a similar spot where Todd Helton hit a ball, and it got by him.
Fans on their feet, waving those white towels. Here's Loesch ready, the 1-2. Swung on, hit high and deep to right field. That ball's going. It ain't coming back. A grand slam for Kaz Matsui. You talk about coming up big. Kaz Matsui hits it out to right. It's a slam, and the Rockies have the lead back here in the 4th. It's 6-3.
Kaz had only hit 4 home runs all year, and it, for whatever reason in baseball, Jeff, it is so rare that after a guy hits a loud foul ball that he gets an even better swing on the next pitch. But boy, did he. That was a no-doubter well back into the right field bleachers. Second season with the Phillies. Matsui drives it towards right center field, and this is headed to the wall. Torrealba will score. Matsui thinking 3. He'll make the turn on his way to third, and he's in there. A double, a homer, and a triple for Kaz Matsui, and the Rockies lead it 9-3. 5th run batted in for Kaz.
Kaz had 6 triples during the regular season, and once that ball hit and ran, it was a no-doubter. He was going to have another 3 today.
Rockies with 8 hits on the day, and 7 of them for extra bases.
So Kaz Matsui takes over in that game, and he became the first player in postseason history to record a double, a triple, a home run, and 5 RBIs in a postseason game. There is one other person to have done that since, and it is Brock Holt in his cycle. So that's understandable. The Rockies win 10-5. They were 1 game away from their first playoff series victory. So now we go to Game 3. The series shifts to Colorado, and after Ubaldo Jimenez and Jamie Moyer went scoreless for the first half of the game, in the 5th, Jimenez bunted a runner over to second, and Kaz looked to drive him in.
Matsui to left field. Burrell on the move. He dives, can't get it. It's by him. Torrealba from second. Heading for third is Matsui. The throw there is not in time, and the Rockies strike first. Burrell was kind of gliding, and he can't get to it.
So Matsui keeping the magic alive for he and the Rockies. However, the Phillies would tie the game in the 7th on a Shane Victorino home run. And in the bottom of the 8th, Atkins and Hopp each hit 2-out singles and put runners on the corners for pinch hitter Jeff Baker.
Had 9 pinch hits during the season. On the ground and through into right field, a base hit. Garrett Atkins from third puts It's the Rockies on top 2-1 in the last of the 8th.
Fastball down. He went the other way. The runner being held on. He's got a hole to work with. Good piece of hitting by Baker. Smart piece of hitting. And
so Jeff Baker puts the Rockies out in front in the bottom of the 8th. They were now 3 outs away from the National League Championship Series, and Manny Corpus looked to get them there.
On the ground right side, Matsui to first. The Colorado Rockies are headed to the National League Championship Series for the first time in their franchise history. They're going crazy in Colorado.
For the first time in franchise history, the Colorado Rockies have won a playoff series. They swept the Philadelphia Phillies, and they are going to fight for the National League pennant. In the series, Kaz Matsui was obviously the number one performer. He slashed .417, 500, 1083 for a 1583 OPS with 1 home run and 6 RBI. Also, Jorvit Torrealba slashed 500, 583, 600 for an 1183 OPS with 3 RBI. Matt Holliday also slashed 231, 231, 692 for a 923 OPS. He didn't get a lot of hits, but when he did, he made them count. He had 2 home runs and had 3 RBI. Also, the team had a 2.23 ERA during the series, and the Rockies were on to face the division rivals in the Arizona Diamondbacks.
So in game 1, after the teams traded runs through the first 2 innings, Kaz Matsui looked to untie it in the 3rd.
By the way, we have the Spanish broadcast of this one.
Yes.
Only for this game, though. And you can also hear an English thing like over it as well.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how it works.
Que se envasaba Taveras era con una base por bolas, era como un doblete.
Luego le brincó ahí la pelota.
Lo ha visto para el izquierdo, la pelota pica de hit y los Rockies van a tomar la ventaja. Responde Kaz Matsui con imparable productor para jardín izquierdo. Anota Taveras y esto se pone 2-1 en favor de los Rockies en la parte alta de la tercera entrada.
So Kaz Matsui, obviously, as you heard, RBI single over the shortstop's head for a base hit.
This is I want more broadcasts like this where it's both of them overlaying each other.
I mean, that's just that's a headache. I prefer.
I think it'd be great to listen to that with Joe Buck combined.
Yeah, and I don't know. It would be funny to hear the 2011 Joe Buck of Spanish baseball, like. Y esta pelota es no aquí.
How do you say back at the wall in Spanish?
Yeah, exactly right. just kind of deadpanning it. But yeah, Kaz Matsui unties it with an RBI single, and later in the inning, Brad Hopp looked to add another run to the score column of the Rockies.
Patada 1 y ya le pegaste su número 1 del pitcher. Responde Hopp, patazo de hit para jardín derecho, anota Matsui. Holiday también anota, otras 2 para los Rockies. Responde Brad Hopp con imparable productor para jardín derecho y esto está ya 4-1 en favor de Colorado en la parte alta de la tercera entrada.
So Brad Hopp hits a 2-run single to make it 4-1. Colorado Rockies. And Jeff Francis came up big in this game, going 6 2/3 innings pitched and allowing just 1 earned run. And the Rockies won that game 5-1. And now in game 2, the Rockies got it started as Jorvit Torrealba hit a 2-out RBI single in the 2nd. It was later tied on a Chris Young RBI single, and in the 7th, it was a 2-1 Rockies lead, and Tony Clark came up with a man on first, trying to tie the game.
Hawkins with a 2-2 to Clark. Driven towards right center field. Taveras on the run, dives and makes the catch. Willie Taveras with the defensive play of the night. And the Rockies stay on top. What an effort by Willie Taveras. Going to deep right center, dove and caught the ball.
Funny to see Tony Clark in action after we've talked so much about the MLB players.
Yeah, people forget he actually played baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the highlight of the MLB Players Association leader.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Manny Corpus looked to close game 2 out, but the Diamondbacks tied the game in the 9th. And the game went into extras, and in the 11th, the Rockies loaded the bases on a single and 2 walks. And with 2 outs in the inning, Willie Taveras came up looking to tie it.
And his first pitch is on the way. And it's low, and a nice play by Snyder to prevent a wild pitch. Ball 1. They're loaded with 2 outs, so 1-0, and that's high. Ball 2, 2-0. Valverde's struggling with his command right now. And his 2-0 pitch on the way. Ball 3, 3-0. Valverde. You can just tell his shoulders just dropped after that last pitch. A 3-0 count on Willie Taveras. Out of the stretch ready. Here's the pitch. He walked him, and the run comes in to score. The Rockies get the lead back.
So a nice go-ahead walk for Willie Taveras there. It counts as an RBI, and the Rockies ended up winning that game 3-2, going up 2-0 in the series, heading back home. And in game 3, the Rockies got another quick start as Matt Holliday hit a solo home run in the first inning. The game would be tied in the 4th on a Mark Reynolds home run, and the game stayed tied for a while as both pitchers were dealing. In the 6th, Josh Fogg looked to solidify his already great outing.
Over at third, Garrett Atkins pounds at his glove. The defenders come to their toes on 2-2. A cutter inside corner, strike 3. Reynolds unhappy with the call, but marked it was strike 3. He goes down on strikes. The Diamondbacks again come up empty with a runner in scoring position. They remain tied in this game, 1 apiece.
So Josh Fogg with a great pitch, a great payoff pitch with a man in scoring position to solidify, to give the Diamondbacks a scoreless inning. And now is the offense's turn. In the bottom half of the inning, Yorvit Torrealba came up with 2 on, looking to untie this tied game.
Swings right, left field deep. Burns going back. The ball is out of here. He came in, he went out, and it's a 4-1 Colorado game.
So now the Rockies are up in this game, and the Rockies ended up winning that game by the score of 4-1. And in game 4, with the opportunity to clinch the series, the game was low scoring early as it was 1-0 Diamondbacks in the 4th. In the bottom of the 4th, Brad Hawpe and Troy Tulowitzki both walked, setting up for Seth Smith with two men on and 2 men out.
1-2 pitch, fisted toward left, trouble if it's fair, and 2 are going to score. Smith on his way to second with a pinch hit double, and the Rockies are in front. 2-1 your score.
So Seth Smith delivers and gives the Rockies the lead in the clinching game. And 2 batters later, Kaz Matsui looked to tack on more for the Rockies.
Into center field. It's 3-1. Tavares stops at second. 12 runs with 2 outs in the series, and the Rockies have a 2-run lead.
So now a 3-1 Rockies lead for Colorado. And the Rockies were not done yet. There were 2 on and 2 out, and the batter was MVP candidate himself, Matt Holliday.
Swing, fly ball, center field deep. Young to the wall.
So now the game is seemingly out of reach for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it was a 6-1 Rockies lead. And after Matt Herges, LaTroy Hawkins, and Brian Fuentes shut it down, it was Manny Corpus on to end this game.
Check swing roller. Tulowitzki. Colorado's the National League champion.
So the Rockies are National League champions against all of the odds. You know, a month prior, it seemed that they were just going to be another third place, fourth place team in the National League West. And here they were winning the National League pennant. And the contributors, Matt Holliday was the biggest. He won NLCS MVP, slashing .333, .412, .733 for an 1145 OPS. With 2 home runs and 4 RBI. Brad Hawpe also doing damage, slashing .333, .529, .333 for an .863 OPS with 2 RBI and 5 walks. And Manny Corpus went 5 1/3, allowing just 1 earned run and saving 2 of those 4 ball games. And the entire Rockies staff was spectacular with a team ERA of 1.89, and now after a long break, they go to Boston for the World Series.
So the Rockies are in Fenway Park, America's most beloved ballpark, for the World Series. And after the Red Sox scored 3 in the first, Troy Tulowitzki came up in his first World Series appearance, trying to chip away in the second inning.
Seems we had a problem with the audio transfer here, so we're taking a look at Troy Tulowitzki hitting a deep shot over to left center field. That is going to be fielded by Jacoby Ellsbury. That's going to drive in Garrett Atkins and make it a 3-1 ball game for the Colorado Rockies, bringing them within 2.
So Troy Tulowitzki hits an RBI double off the Green Monster, making it a 3-1 game. Unfortunately, Jeff Francis and the Rockies pitching struggled through this one. The Red Sox ended up taking game 1 by the score of 13-1. Wasn't very close. So now we go into game 2. The Rockies were threatening early against possibly soon-to-be Hall of Famer Curt Schilling and possibly soon-to-be Hall of Famer Todd Helton looked to give them an early lead.
Ground ball yanked to the right side. A run will score the toss to first base, and Colorado takes a 1-0 lead here in the first inning. So Schilling a little bit wild, hitting a batter, and it costs him. As Tavares touches home, and Helton picks up the RBI on the ground out.
So Todd Helton picks up an RBI, puts the Rockies in front in the World Series, and Ubaldo Jimenez was lights out for the first few innings, but he gave up a run in the 4th and a run in the 5th, which made it 2-1 Red Sox, and the Rockies weren't able to get any more offense going, and that would be the final score. So the Rockies go into Colorado immediately down 2-0, and they needed to fix up what they were doing. So now in game 3, Josh Fogg struggled as he gave up 6 in the 3rd. The game seemed over at this point, but the Rockies, they kept fighting. After Todd Helton and Garrett Atkins produced 1-out walks in the 6th, Brad Hopp looked to drive them in.
At the plate. And a little flare into left center field. A base hit. Here comes Helton, and the Rockies are on the board. 6-1 here in the 6th.
So Brad Hopp puts the Rockies on the board, and the next batter in the inning was Yorvit Torrealba.
Torrealba grounds a base hit into left. Atkins to the plate. It's a 4-run game.
Colorado Rockies are stringing hits back to back to back.
So the Rockies are getting something going here. They were chipping away, and they weren't done in the inning. Matsui and Tulo led off the bottom of the 7th, each with a pair of singles. And afterwards, Matt Holliday was up to do his thing.
With a 340 average. And he shoots one into center field. Back at the wall, 3-run home run. And it's a 1-run game.
So Matt Holliday makes it a 1-run game, and he hits a home run nearly identical to the one that he hit in Game 4 of the NLCS. After this point, unfortunately, Brian Fuentes and LaTroy Hawkins each gave up runs. The Red Sox ended up winning this game 10-5, and the Rockies were 1 game away from elimination. So now moving into Game 4, the Red Sox got off to a 3-0 lead as the Rockies couldn't touch John Lester. In the 7th inning, Brad Hopp led off, looking to chip away.
Hopp into right, at the track, at the wall. The Rockies are on the board, 3-1.
So Brad Hopp with a big home run to get them within 2. And in the next inning, the Rockies once again found themselves down 3 as the Red Sox got one of those runs back. And Garrett Atkins came up with a man on, looking to inch just a little closer.
a shot into left. Back at the wall. It's a one-run game.
So Garrett Atkins homers to make it a 4-3 game, but remember, the Rockies, they were still down 1 in the game. And in the 9th, with Seth Smith batting, they were down to their final out in the series.
Game over, series over, and the Red Sox are world champs again.
So the Rockies get swept out of the World Series by the Boston Red Sox, ending their hopes and dreams on the 2007 season. In the series, Todd Helton slashed .333, .412, .467 for an .878 OPS. Brad Hopp also had a home run and 2 RBI. And Manny Corpus, throughout the whole postseason, was excellent. He pitched 10 1/3 innings, gave up 1 earned run for a .087 ERA, and had 5 saves. Really impressive stuff from him. As for the legacy of this team, they became the most memorable and essentially the best team in franchise history. To this day, they're the only team to have ever won a playoff series, I believe. Nonetheless, they got to the World Series. So that's obviously a big deal for a city that hasn't seen too much success in their brief time as a major league team. But this is the team that really they look back on with the most success. And they went on a monumental run. Chris, they had absolutely no business being where they were at the end of the season, looking at where they were a month before Jonathan Papelbon threw that final strike. I mean, they weren't supposed to be in the World Series. They weren't supposed to be playing a game 163. They were supposed to be not even in the top half of that division. They were supposed to be lucky to get 4th, essentially, with just where they were before they won. They won 11 in a row and then won 3 in a row to end the regular season. They also established the legacies of guys like Todd Helton, who played in his first postseason with the team, Tulowitzki, who, had a great Rookie of the Year campaign, and also Matt Holliday, who had his best season as a Rocky. Do you have anything to add to that?
One thing, I guess this kind of would offend the, Rockies franchise, but if we didn't have, if the Rockies didn't come back and, have this monumental run, what other Rockies team would we have been able to put out there?
I'm so glad that this team existed. Yeah, I mean, it would have literally been like the 2018 Rockies who got swept in the postseason. I don't know. I probably would have been that one because I could be like, well, they won the wild card game against the Cubs.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, it would have been the 2013 Pirates. All over again.
Well, at least the Pirates put up a good fight in that series. The Rockies didn't in that one.
Yeah,
they did great this year.
Yeah, at least the Pirates, had a battle with the Cards that year.
Yeah.
But yeah, if this team like this, this is the banner team for sure of the franchise in their 28-year history, I believe, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And it's probably going to be their banner team for a while after they traded Nolan Arenado. But
Rockies fans, times like these, they might not be close, but they are going to come eventually.
Yes, hopefully.
And I have one last thought. I know this is super cliche, but they were a really loose bunch. And there's one video of theirs that we have not shown yet. And I left this one for the end because it's probably my favorite one. And it's one that really the whole team participated in.
Are you sure we're allowed to do this?
Yeah.
Come on, Hirsch, we've
Just
all done
do
it. What am I supposed to do?
Well, they sleep standing up, so just go up and push.
Then what? What do you mean, then what? It'll tip over. It's hilarious.
What other team is doing that? Like, we've seen some pretty good promotional videos in spring training. Who else is doing that? Nobody.
Nobody. Yeah, exactly.
So that was the one thing I wanted to end this show on.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like, did they make those before the 07 season?
No, in 07 spring training.
Yeah, so that's interesting because they didn't really like, it's not like they had that much success beforehand. So they just went.
I mean, like, not to roast another team here, but the Mariners put out the best spring training videos every year. So I don't think success dictates who puts out the best videos.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, I guess that's where we leave off on the 2007 Rockies. And normally we are selecting the players and teams randomly, of course. We've gone through the process, but this week, for the first part of our history episode, we had our first ever guest on the history series, so we had him pick the team. So we're going to go head over to that and conclude the episode.
And now we are on to our favorite part of the episode with a familiar face from our Tom Seaver part of the episode, Mr. Marty Dobrow. He will be doing the honors of picking our players and teams. For those unaware, we're on our last 5 players and teams. Every 5 weeks, we reshuffle. So yeah, Daniel has originally had a list of 30 teams. I originally had a list of 30 players, and it's been all the way down to 5. So first, yeah, we'll start off with the player. Marty, which player are we going to be talking about next week? Player number 1, player number 2, player number 4, or player number 5?
Let's go with player number 4.
Player number 4, kind of the same era as Mr. Tom Seaver, except he was doing it from the offensive side. He's sort of another guy that brought hope to a franchise who hadn't seen any success prior, except, this team's history was very long. And he is the greatest third baseman of all time. Next week, we're going to be talking about Schmidt.
Michael Jack Schmidt.
Great hitter. Yeah, I remember many a Mike Schmidt home run sailing far over the left field wall in games against the Mets. So it brings back some tough memories. But yeah, phenomenal player.
This is almost full circle because the very first player we did on the history series was George Brett. And so that is both of the 1980 league MVPs, both in the American League and the National League. Both of them are third basemen. Both of them matched up in that World Series. So that's almost kind of full circle to go from the beginning to the end of the history series with those two.
Yeah, I mean, two just tremendously gritty players. I always loved watching George Brett play also. It was just someone who had a great fire, a great intensity. I know we just this week saw the retirement of Dustin Pedroia with the Red Sox, and George Brett played the game in a very similar fashion with this just relentless sense of effort that's being expended. And you always thought the guy was going to hurt himself because of the way that he played, full tilt constantly. I remember hearing him interviewed once about this and being asked, why is it, do you ever think it make sense to sort of ease up a little bit and conserve some energy? And what he said is that he didn't ever want to get to the end of his career and look back and think that he could have done more. And I've always thought, what a great life philosophy. I mean, that's really, when you have something that you're passionate about, you really want to give it your very utmost effort.
Give it all, lay it all out on the field.
Absolutely. So
yeah. Now we are going to be talking about the team for next week. Marty, this is a list 1 through 4 because Chris picked number 5 last week.
I'll go with number 3 this time.
Team number 3. In our last 5 teams, 3 of them were NL West teams. We are now down to just 1. And this is a team, fun fact, Marty, you have selected the oldest team on the list. This is a team that won the World Series on the back of one of the most iconic home runs through the history of baseball. It is the 1988 Los Angeles Dodgers.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was a memorable World Series and a memorable home run that you referenced, no doubt about it. And a memorable call for that home run.
Absolutely. Jack Buck on the call for that one.
Two memorable calls.
Yep.
That's true.
Buck and Scully.
And Scully's, yep.
This is actually the first LA team, finally. Because the Angels are still on the list, so the Dodgers just got selected. And, this is Kirk Gibson obviously was on this team. This is the year that Tommy Lasorda went at it with the Philly Fanatic. This is the year that Oral Hershiser had, I think he still has the longest scoreless inning streak. He had like 55 innings, I want to say.
Yeah.
That happened in September of this year. So very memorable season for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and we will be covering it next week.
Yeah, and Scully in that call said, in a year that's been so improbable. So I'm looking forward to seeing what was so improbable about this season. So
exactly.
We hope you enjoyed the 2007 Rockies part of the episode. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and want to watch the videos with us, go to our YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran. And Marty, you have a Twitter, correct?
I do. Not hugely active, but at Marty Dobrow.
At Marty Dobrow.
Look for that occasional Marty Dobrow tweet. I actually just sent one out yesterday, which is a rare occasion for me. So
I have notifications on your Twitter account, so I for sure saw that one.
Okay, good. That's an interesting story. That I think you might.
It was you wrote for the Washington Post.
I did. I wrote.
How about that?
Post yesterday. So
yeah, that is a big deal.
So yeah, you definitely know that we have a very credible person as our guest on the Tom Seaver part of the episode. And also, if you want to follow the show Instagram, go to our Instagram. It is at Above Replacement Radio. So, and also we would like to thank StatHead, Fangraphs, Baseball Reference, and MLB on YouTube for all of their contributions to the show. And we hope you enjoyed the 2007 Rockies part of the episode, and we hope to see you next week on Tuesday, where we're going to be talking all MLB news, and on Thursday, where we will be talking about Mike Schmidt. See you then.